It's been a minute since we've reacted to a Bleacher Report article. Today we got grading every NBA team's 2025 NBA offseason so far. It was released like 5 days ago. That's not really relevant because not a lot has happened in those 5 days, but this is going to be interesting. Like, going into it, we were promised by some people that this was about to be potentially the craziest offseason of all time. Not even close. To say, let me just say, shout out to our boy Shams. To say this had the potential to be a crazy offseason after the offseason we just had is nuts. But it didn't live up to that, right? Biggest trade we got was the Kevin Durant trade, and that one wasn't even too crazy because Kevin Durant had basically narrowed it down to a couple different destinations. I think the biggest thing about that one was the timing of it all. Like, that happening right before Game 7 of the NBA Finals is kind of nuts. But that was like the biggest move of the offseason. But I do believe there's a lot of teams that leveled up, right? They went up a tier, and some teams tore it down completely, which in my opinion can be looked at as a good offseason as well. So we're going to see what BR thinks. I'm going to give my opinions. Let's get into it. This video is brought to you by Raycon. You see me? You didn't even notice I had them in. You see me? I'm looking good. Raycon is a lifestyle audio brand that offers premium sound, comfort, and style at an affordable price. They're best known for their everyday earbuds, which you've probably seen me use a few years back. But this one right here is a new and improved of their classic design. Yeah, man, they're saying that the OG is back, but this time around, it has active noise canceling. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of The Dark Knight. Like, we all love Batman Begins, but the sequel is so much better. Now, personally, I find myself using Raycons mostly when I'm editing videos. There's a lot of stuff going on in the house, and I need to really lock in at the project. They have 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery. And of course, we're talking about earbuds. Your question is about the audio quality, right? Well, their audio quality is just as good as the other big-time brands at a fraction of the price. So go to buyraycon.com/Kenny to get 20% off the fan favorite everyday earbuds classic. I also got this case. That's pretty cool, right? Shout out again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Shout out to Grant Hughes over there. I feel good to be back, by the way. I ain't filmed a video in like 7 days for real. And I'm like, whoa, that's like the second longest I've ever went without filming a video. Here we go. Starting off with the Atlanta Hawks. They gave the Atlanta Hawks a smooth A, which feels about right. The Atlanta Hawks are one of the biggest offseason winners, if you ask me. When you already think about the existing, interesting young core of a Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Reese Isay, and Onyeka Okongwu, to now add Kristaps Porzingis for nothing. And I know about the history of Kristaps Porzingis health-wise, but like, they didn't really give up anything to make it happen. If anything, they got off of a contract of Terrence Mann, which is pretty damn dope. To bring in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who over the last 2 playoff runs were a really integral part to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and to also get in Luke Kennard, who may play, may not play a ton, but like, this just looks like now a team that was a perennial playoff team or play-in team over the last couple seasons. You squint your eyes and you're like, oh snap, the Atlanta Hawks can do this. Trae Young, it's time, baby. It's time. Next, we got the Boston Celtics, who I don't know personally where I would grade the Boston Celtics. They gave it a C, which feel like anytime somebody gets a C on a grading, yada, 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 it's mostly like, listen, we don't know exactly what to do with it. We knew that they were going to have to break up this team, right? Whether they won a championship or they missed the playoffs completely, we knew that this was a team that was too expensive to exist. The question was, what type of direction they really go in? They traded away Drew Holiday, they traded away Kristaps Porzingis, and obviously Tatum being out with his injury. It's about to be like a gap year, if you will, for the Boston Celtics. The thing that is really interesting to me is because Drew and because Kristaps didn't have a ton of value on the market, the players that you brought back, which is basically just Anthony Simons, if you really think about it. George Niang is probably not a part of the long-term future, but like, those guys don't make me feel like, at least as of today, that when Tatum does come back, the team will be right back into contention. And Brad Stevens has done a damn good job as a GM, whatever the hell, basketball operations guy, but now he's about to go into his biggest struggle as a guy making the decisions. What do you do? How do you bridge the gap to get right back to championship contention? I don't have the answers for that just yet, but this offseason, giving it a C makes some sense because, hell, who knows? Brooklyn Nets, they gave it a B for the Brooklyn Nets. All right, so the Brooklyn Nets came into this offseason with a ton of cap space. It was like, okay, you know, restricted free agency is a fake thing, and you can see that even with their own player in Cam Thomas. But the question was, how were they going to use that cap space? The first thing they did is they acquired a first-round pick in that Atlanta Hawks deal when they brought in Terrence Mann in that Porzingis deal, you know what I'm talking about, that I just mentioned earlier. They also brought in a 2032, I think, a 31 first-round pick to acquire Michael Porter Jr. and get out Cam Johnson. Of course, we're going to talk about that trade a little bit more once we get to the Denver Nuggets. But that pick has the potential to be really valuable one day. And one thing, if I had to be a critic of myself when it comes to stuff like this, I find myself being super high on future picks like most people do, but also when teams do a lot of small things around the edges. right? I find myself praising those teams. It's like, oh, they got 2 more second round picks. And the reality is those second round picks in a lot of cases don't turn into anything. But in my mind, just making those move around the edges helps out with your cap book. It can help out with your future assets. And I think that's what the Brooklyn Nets kind of did this offseason. Now, I am not an NBA draft guy. I did do more research this year than any other year in my life. I can say right now, I'm not a huge fan of their draft, but who the hell knows? When you have a gazillion first-round picks, if you just have 2 of those guys hit to be real NBA players, then I would say that's a win. Which 2 of those guys would it be? Hell, I don't know. They basically all play the same. They basically all play the same position. And I recently just saw a clip of Michael Porter Jr. on his podcast from like 2 years ago. He was talking about how people make fun of him because he don't swing the ball, and he said, if I ever got put into a different role, then I'll think about passing. Well, brother, your role is a lot different on this team, man. So we'll see if you can jump up from, I'm going to guess 1.7 assists a game. Let me see. A lot better than my 1.7. It's 2.1. So let's see if that 2.1 goes into 4. Can you double your assists per game total on this team? I don't know. It's one of those off seasons that, when we talk about doing things around the edges and how much we praise it, every time the Brooklyn Nets acquired a new first-round pick, I was like, yes, they did it. And then for them to use all of those first-round picks, still mind-blowing to me. So only time will tell. Next, the Charlotte Hornets. See, this is one of those teams they did a lot around the edges. They have it as a B, but they got the 29th overall pick in that trade for Mark Williams. They also got a 2029 first-round pick that is the worst of Cleveland, Utah, and Minnesota. We'll see what that turns out. They got a first-round pick to take on Yusuf Nurkic last year, and then flipped Yusuf Nurkic to get a future second round. See, those are the type of deals that I really find myself like loving. And again, they may not mean anything, but the one thing I love the most about the Charlotte Hornets this offseason was I personally do believe when your point guard is your best player and that point guard is struggling to stay on the court, at the time that he is not out there is detrimental to the progression of everybody else on the team, all of the other young players on the team. And one thing I respect about the Charlotte Hornets offseason this year is that they took a couple guys who can facilitate and run the offense just in case LaMelo Ball gets hurt. LaMelo, we hoping that you don't. But like Spencer Dinwiddie has been on a gazillion different teams. He's always been pretty damn steady. They got in Trey Mann, who didn't play a ton of last season, but they gave him a $24 million deal over 3 years. I feel like that's a really good deal. So they got it as a B. I'd probably go closer to B plus for the Charlotte Hornets. But again, I'm truly way optimistic about them smaller deals. And I said it before, the cock and nipple of the top picks, it's like him and Trey Johnson. Those are the guys that I trust the most, or I'm looking forward to watching the most. And they got one of those guys. Next, the Chicago Bulls. They got it as a D. We don't need to spend too much time on the Bulls. They made one trade, and that was Alonzo Ice Okoro. Listen, Ice, I got nothing but love for you. I hope you come out to Chicago and you absolutely ball. But y'all, I've made the videos about the Bulls. We'll move on. We'll see what the Josh Giddey number looks like, because that's really going to determine if this stays a D or it becomes an F, or it goes to a C minus, because they don't get much higher than, even Josh Giddey on a good deal. You can't say this is an A offseason. But every day we get deeper into free agency and there's zero Vucevic buzz, it makes me feel like that Vucevic might be one of the best names on the buyout market in February of next season. Because nobody wants him now. He just had such a great season. If nobody wants him right now, then when will they ever want him? And he's on an expiring deal. He's on an expiring contract, a center that just had a really good year. Now, granted, we all know his deficiencies on the defensive side of the ball. Don't get me wrong. But if you can't get somebody to take him on today, then you probably never will. So maybe buy him out in February. Cleveland Cavaliers, they didn't really do a lot. They got Larry Nance back. They, of course, got Lonzo Ball and Sam Merrill got a contract. I said this on the pod before. They gave it a B. Only thing that I question is that will the paint touches and the creation that Ty Jerome had last season, will it hurt that they don't have that anymore? Because as much as I love Lonzo Ball, the brother don't put the ball on the floor anymore. So he's more of a 3-and-D wing than he is a point guard. A 3-and-D wing with absurd passing, but he doesn't create as far as getting 2 feet into the paint. Go look at them numbers. I watched him in Chicago this season, and granted, he just had his whole knee replaced. He had some like a fake knee, no real knee, but it was somebody else's knee. I'm not mad at him that he didn't create like he used to as far as getting to the basket, but that's just not a part of his game. Maybe a year removed from all of the messes, the procedures and stuff, you get him back to some of the stuff. But even before the procedures, he won't really get into the rim a lot. But either way, I think Cleveland had a really good offseason. They got it as a B. I'll probably go slightly below that. But still the favorite to win the Eastern Conference. Next, we got the Dallas Mavericks, who they have at a B. I mean, when you get Cooper Flag, No, I do think that, yeah, the Daniel Gafford deal is pretty cool. I thought that was a deal that they were going to use to move immediately after he signed it. Obviously, he's still on the roster as today. They haven't done much else, so we'll move on. Shout out to Cooper Flag. I'm excited to watch him hoop. Now, here's the Denver Nuggets thing. Oh, it was 2032 that I mentioned in Brooklyn. This pick has the potential to be pretty damn valuable one day. They got it as a C. Oh, they got it as a C? Damn, they must really value the future picks. Here's my take on it. I think I tweeted this after the trade even happened. I don't give a damn if this pick is 30-32. If I have Nikola Jokic on my team right now, I'm going to do what I can to get the team to be great. Yeah, by 2032, Nikola Jokic might be out of the league. I just saw a clip where he accidentally said he only going to play for 2 more years. I think he was joking, but hell, we don't know with Nikola Jokic. So 7 years from now, yes, Nikola Jokic is in his mid-30s and he might be out of the league, or, knowing him, he might just want to walk away from the game. So that pick could be valuable. I just don't care. Can you imagine not trying to maximize the ceiling of the best player in the world because of a pick 7 years from now? A pick that you don't even know anything about? This pick could be the 30, it could be 28th overall pick, and you think about it at 2032, I'm like, damn, we could have traded that pick to get our team better for Nikola Jokic. This team is 1 game away from defeating the team that went on to win a championship. I think today they are better than they were when they were in that series. Yes, they're going to miss some of the things that Michael Porter Jr. does. Cam Johnson does some similar things and some things better. They also got Brucey Brown back. They also got Tim Hardaway Jr. in the door. They also got a real center, which I cannot express enough. A real center, Jonas Valanciunas, to back him up. I love this offseason. I think this got to be crazy. I think they're probably. Let me read it. I'm gonna read it and see what they're worth. Let me see if they got a real good point. I read it. Their point is, okay, you did the Cam Johnson trade, you got off the contract, and you saved $17 million. But the money that you gave Bruce Brown. Has Bruce Brown always been a Bruce Brown Jr.? Am I bugging? The money that you saved didn't help you acquire these dudes because they signed for minimums. So you didn't even use that $17 million. That instead it was ownership saying that they wanted some money. I don't fucking care. The team is better. Even they said Denver is better on paper and at least plausible Johnson could outperform Michael Porter Jr. over the life of his contract. I don't know what else you could really say. He even said on Jonas Valanciunas that he stayed in the NBA after considering playing overseas. He's a major upgrade to anyone Denver has had behind Nikola Jokic at center. So you just gave so much praise, but just because they didn't spend that 17 or that 17, I don't understand it. We're going to move on. Detroit. Now, I've seen a lot of people be down on Detroit's offseason. I think it was okay. They got it as a C. I'd probably go a little bit higher than a C. Some shit you just can't control. If the best individual season shooter in your franchise history gets investigated, then what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do about that? I think that all things considered, yeah, Duncan Robinson made a lot of money. Okay, it's a lot of money for Duncan Robinson. But all things considered, I think the best offseason acquisition that the Detroit Pistons added this year is Jaden Ivey. So maybe that you can't account that into the grade, but Jaden Ivey's back. And Dennis Schroeder left, and I think Jaden Ivey can do the stuff that Dennis Schroeder was able to do and be better. Tim Hardaway Jr. left. They got Karis LeVert, who are very similar type of players. Heat check. I guess Tim Hardaway Jr. is better off the catch, but similar players. Malik Beasley has such a great season. I don't think Duncan Robinson can replicate 300-plus threes, but I feel like a lot of the players that they lost, they just brought in different players that could do similar things. And Kate Cunningham's on the team, so I'm really expecting the Detroit Pistons to be better, even if their all-season is not an A+. Okay, move on. Pokemon stuff. Listen, I've been really into Pokemon. I dropped the Pokemon video. It's secret, though. You got to find it. But I dropped the Pokemon video. The Golden State Warriors haven't done anything, so we move. The Houston Rockets, I feel like we've talked a lot about the Rockets. They have it as an A. I don't know if we can go anything lower than that. That's the bare minimum what you could give it. Dorian Finney-Smith, Clint Capella, Kevin Durant, and Jabari Smith Jr.'s extension. Real ball player. Fred VanVleet, get him a new contract to save you some money. Beautiful offseason, no notes. A makes a lot of sense. Hell, A+ could make some sense to me as well. Then you got the Indiana Pacers, who they have as an F. Whew. Okay. There's a couple different ways you can look at the loss of Miles Turner, right? The first way you can look at it and say, hey, Miles Turner was here for 10 plus, I don't remember, was it 10 seasons? What draft class was it, 2015? He might have been. Been here for 10 seasons through Paul George being there, through him and Sabonis, through Oladipo, to now Tyrese Halliburton and company making it to the NBA Finals. It's a very crucial part to the team that made it to the NBA Finals, even if he didn't necessarily play that well in the last couple games of the postseason. In fact, I'm trying to convince myself one way or another and not play the middle ground here. But I truly can see it multiple different ways, right? Miles Turner was extremely important to what they did, but he also was potentially not the perfect fit, and the money that he wanted, they just didn't feel like it was worth paying. That's one way. The other way is like, hey, ownership hasn't went into the luxury tax, even though they've said they were willing to. The Turner team has a different opinion. Who the hell knows? Another way you could look at it and say, hey, man, this team won't go into the luxury tax potentially, and I don't know what to do about that. They didn't want to pay Miles Turner an extra amount of money if they knew that next year was going to be a gap year, and they may have plans and set that when Tyrese Halliburton come back, so-and-so player is going to be our starting center. He can do everything Miles Turner can do and more. Maybe we even change the type of archetype we have for the center position. Maybe it's not Miles Turner, a stretch five, but instead it's somebody that's more of a rim rolling big. We don't know. So they gave it an F because they weren't able to bring back Miles Turner, and they didn't do anything else, which I don't want to do anything else if I'm being honest with you, but the Miles Turner thing could have potentially hurt. For sure. Clippers, they gave it an A-, no notes, man. This team might be super damn old, but damn it, I'm going to be here and I'm going to be loving it. When the Clippers play the Bulls in Chicago, whenever the schedule comes out, best believe I'm there. And damn it, I might even sit courtside. If my GOAT is going out on his last season, I want to be there with a goddamn, this exact jersey with the number 3 on it, because I love me some Chris Paul. And now he's going to be a backup for basically, the second time of his NBA career, when you think about the Warriors signing as well. This is going to be pretty interesting. I think they got enough bodies on the team that even though they're a geriatric team up top, that they have enough bodies that, like, hey, if Kawhi Leonard's going to miss some time, which, or if Chris Paul going to miss some time, which, hey, he played all 82 last season, so who knows? But all these older guys don't have to do too much for the Clippers to still be good, because a lot of the players that they added on, they didn't really lose out on the players that were already there other than Norman Powell being traded, right? You still got KD, Chris Dunn. You still got you still got Derrick Jones Jr. and so on and so forth. A great offseason for them, all things considered. And they put a lot of eggs in this basket, which makes sense. I mean, it's not that long that you have James and Kawhi playing at this level. So let's go for it and hope that we get some good injury luck and get the right side of the bracket. And just like that, we might be in the conference finals, or just like that, we might be representing the Western Conference in the finals. Who the hell knows? It's July right now. The Lakers, they have as a D. Okay. I am more positive about the Lakers offseason than consensus. I don't think it was a great offseason, do not get me wrong. I definitely wouldn't put it as a D, but I also wouldn't put it as even a B. I'd probably go closer to C. Here's why. I think I'm looking at a lot of the moves in the vacuum. DeAndre Ayton on a 2-year, $8 million a year deal. Good addition considering who was just on the team before him at the center position. Shout out Jackson Hayes, I guess. Oh, no, actually, no. Jackson Hayes and Trey Jemison. Upgrade. I think about Marcus Smart being on the team. And though Marcus Smart has played 7 games in the last 6 years, at least that's what it feels like. If you could get at least a decently healthy Marcus Smart season, and listen, he ain't been very good in those handful of games he's played over the last couple of years, but getting him into the door on a minimum, I feel like that's a win, considering even if he can't shoot anymore, if he can stay healthy, he'll still be a plus defender. He won't be the guy that's chasing around the young guards and across ball no more, but he's still going to be one of the best defensive players on the entire team. So in the vacuum, this is all pretty cool, but you also think about, oh my God, LeBron James, he is 40 years old. Are we not trying to win right now? Oh my God, Luka Doncic is over here, and though there's rumors that he's going to resign, which if Luka Doncic resigns this offseason, this D turns to an A+. I don't give a damn about anything else. If you lock Luka up, it's a win. But I understand losing DFS. But I think that the Lakers are still going to be a good team. Is that breaking news? Like, I don't think they're going to win no damn championship or nothing, but I think they're going to be a good team still. There's some identity issues, right? Where you still are not a Luka team, at least on paper, and you're also not a Bron team, where you're stuck in this middle place. I understand that. But they still got Luka Doncic. And I promise you, there are a few players in basketball that I just pencil his teams in to be good. I just do. If he's healthy, I'm penciling him in. And Bron, if he's healthy, he's a similar type of guy. Anyway, the Memphis Grizzlies. Interesting offseason. Obviously, you got the Desmond Bane deal that they did where they got a gazillion first-round picks. Will they be valuable? Who the hell knows? They bring back Aldama. They bring back, It turns to a 5-year, $205 million deal for our guy, Jaren Jackson Jr. Ty Jerome on a really good deal considering all things, but we don't know about Ty Jerome right now. Shout out to him. They got it as a B, by the way. We don't know much about Ty Jerome. Is what he did last year sustainable, considering that's basically the only year of his NBA career where he was like really positive? I don't really know. But it's not a bad offseason for the Grizzlies. They just are so It's unfortunate for them that this team is built in the Western Conference, bro. They really need expansion to happen so they can move to the East. Them or the Pelicans. I don't know which one will move to the East. But like, so if this team was in the Eastern Conference, I think we look at them and be like, yeah, that's like a 4 seed. But in the Western Conference, you're like, damn, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Miami Heat. I can't be mad at the Heat. They made basically one big move, and it was to get Norman Powell in the door. And they didn't cost them anything. Like, obviously, it's not a team I'm looking at and be like, oh, that's a championship contender. But again, if we're just grading what the offseason was, getting in Norman Powell, who's a 20-point-per-game scorer for nothing, win. Even if it doesn't take you to the next level. Even if it doesn't jump you up a couple different spots. Norman Powell's a good hooper, and you got him for nothing. The Milwaukee Bucks have it a C-. You bought all day. You use some of that money to go get Miles Turner. So now Miles Turner is basically worth $50-something million. You bring back Bobby Portis. You bring back Ron Rollins. You bring back Kevin Porter Jr. You bring back Gary Trent Jr. You bring back Jericho Sims. You bring back Taurean Prince. Less than $20 million combined. I didn't even realize it was that bad. And then you bring in Gary Harris. Listen, I don't know. The only thing that matters is if Giannis is happy. That might be a cop-out. It's the same thing I'm mentioning with Luka. If Luka signs extension, their grade goes to an A+. If Giannis is clean and keen to sticking around, then anything you did right here is cool. You know what I mean? Like, yes, $22 million in debt money for 5 years is nuts. That's crazy. But if Giannis is happy, that's all that matters. And all you hope for, if you are the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that's not competing this season, let's be real, all you can hope for is that there's enough for Giannis to be like, oh, next year, oh, 2 years from now, That's all. You're trying to buy time until you can do the thing. I don't know what that thing is. Hell, you put a lot of chips in the basket already. You put a lot of chips to get in Damian Lillard. That didn't necessarily work out. All you're trying to do is bypass time. And though on paper this Bucks team does not look good, they do got this guy here, which in the Eastern, when you have the best player in the entire conference, I'm just penciling you in. Like, if he's healthy, I'm penciling in the Bucks for at least, just a healthy Giannis season, at least 42 wins. And then now you can account for so-and-so having a good season or so-and-so having a good season. Just like that, you're looking pretty solid. So it's really just depending on Giannis. I didn't love this stuff, but Giannis is on the team, and he seems to be all right. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they gave it a C. They basically just brought a lot of people back. They lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which time will tell if that's a bad loss or not. But I will say, losing a guy like him stings a lot less when you have a guy similar to him just waiting. Like, I really do think that Terrence Shannon Jr. is going to be a real player for them this season. And though they're not one-to-one type of players, I truly do like Terrence Shannon's game, and I like them back in Illinois. So, Nickeil Alexander leaving does hurt, but you might just have that guy. They got a lot of money between Gobert and Naz Reid, now he's signed center, and Julius Randle in that front court. They say last year, Linus with Gobert center and Reed on the bench posted a plus 6.9 net rating that owned a 91st percentile defensive rating. Yeah. With Reed in the middle and Gobert out of the game, Minnesota interior was a plus. Okay. Well, I don't mind it. It's not great. It's not great. I mean, they're going to be relying on some people, again, in Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham, who haven't really had the opportunity to play big-time minutes, even though Terrence Shannon Jr. did give us that game in the postseason. They have Anthony Edwards on the team. If we're grading the offseason, I think a C makes sense. I got to keep remembering that's what we're doing. We're grading the offseason, not the team. C. Pelicans. If I had to guess, they got the Pelicans at like a D+. Yeah, they gave it an F. Have they been given plus grades? No. They have. Plus and minuses. They got it as an F. All right. I had a clip go somewhat viral about about the trade that they pulled off, which was, trading the unprotected pick from next season to the Atlanta Hawks to move up 10 spots to get Derek Queen. One thing that was taken out of context, it was not a shot at Derek Queen. I think I may have even said that in the clip. I don't know if that part got misunderstood. Nothing that I said about what the Pelicans have done this offseason is a shot at D Queen, who I hope is just the best of all time. Shout out to my guy. But it's like, even if Derek Queen turns out to be a 30-time All-Star, he's not going to do it next season. So you ask yourself, obviously you're really counting on Derek Queen becoming like an all-star, or like at the bare minimum an all-star one day. That if he doesn't, was it worth giving up a pick that might end up being top 10? Because though they have so many intriguing players, shout out to they got our guy Herb Jones back on a short extension or a cheap extension, which we love. So I'm not gonna give it an F because of Herb Jones extension. But I look at their roster and I say there are so many intriguing pieces from, Jordan Poole, who's coming off a good season, to Herb Jones, to Trey Murphy, to Zion, to Yves Missy, to like all, they have so many interesting players. But I just look at it and I look at the comps that they in, and that like, is the ceiling the 7th seed? Like if they have the best year, is their ceiling the 7th seed? And you gave up a first round pick for a team that the ceiling might be the 7th seed? Only time will tell on whether or not the 2026 pick that they gave up is going to be valuable. But as of today, out of all of the assets that were traded this offseason, that's the one that's at the top. Like that's like the top asset that was traded in a goddamn offseason that Kevin Durant got traded. That's nuts. That's so nuts. Not getting a top 4 protection, a top 5 protection, I guarantee you the Atlanta Hawks would still say yes. New York Knicks, not a bad offseason whatsoever. The biggest acquisition is this man right here. I love Gershon Yabusele. I think that's going to be a guy that's going to be able to play playoff minutes, because at the end of the day, the Knicks are not playing for the 82. They're playing for the postseason at this point, right? Gershon Yabusele is a guy that I believe can play playoff minutes next season if he replicates what he did last season. And then, like, Jordan Clarkson is a more of an 82-game player, right, to help you get to the point where you're in the postseason. So I think it was a good offseason. I would probably go a straight-up B instead of a B-. Shout out to them. Next, we got our reigning champion. Can't say anything because they didn't do anything other than bringing guys back. The Orlando Magic end up losing KCP, Cole Anthony, and Gary Harris, brought in Desmond Bane and Tyus Jones. I just spent a lot of time yesterday watching a ton of Paolo Banchero, trying to figure out, like, the Desmond Bane acquisition, how much would this open a game up for him? And I'm excited to, I'm going to deep dive into that in the video eventually. But this is a really good offseason. Obviously, they spent, hey, man, I now got 2 kids, and y'all just got to live with that the background yelling and screaming and stuff, dog, because that's just what kids do. Yes, they did give up a lot, at least on paper, for Desmond Bane, but I don't think that's something that you should care about right now. Of like the people that, again, this is why I did that deep dive footage-wise on the Paolo Banchero thing. Of all the people that you thought might have been available to play alongside Paolo and Franz, I think that Desmond Bane, without it being like a superstar, right? I think that Desmond Bane is super high on that list, right? As a creator, as a shot maker, as a shot taker. Like, there's so many things to be really intrigued about, and they already have the infrastructure defensively to hold Desmond Bane down, who I feel like might be a little overrated defensively, at least to the general public. But I think this offseason, B makes a lot of sense to me. I'm going to agree with you, Grant. Next, you have the 76ers, who didn't do anything other than to draft VJ Edgecombe, who we really like. Shout out to them. But that's really all they really did. The Phoenix Suns, they have is a D-. Okay, this is okay. I was trying to figure out. This last sentence says it all. He's great in the offseason based on what he think the team should do, which is blow it up, not the actualization of the offseason, right? I think we can all agree that the Phoenix Suns are probably better off blowing it up, right? Regardless, they're not going to do that. They're going to stick with their guy, Devin Booker, and try to put a competent team around them. And if that is their goal, they did an okay enough job, given the fact that it felt like they didn't have a lot of outs. The Kevin Durant trade, because we knew he was going to be traded, there's not a lot of leverage to be trading the 37-year-old, right? We knew he wanted to get out. We knew he only wanted to go to 3 different teams. And all things considered, they got a top 10 pick. They got in Jalen Green, who, say what you want about Jalen Green, he ain't the perfect player, but he's far away from being an awful, awful ball player. And then Dylan Brooks, who continuously just provides stuff on the defensive side of the ball, even though I really hate watching play at times. So, considering that, I don't hate the offseason. Like, it makes more sense to go the opposite direction and go ahead and try to acquire your own first rounders, or trade Devin Booker to this to get some more first rounders. But that's not the route that they're trying to do. They had a goal, and I think if that is their goal, even if it's not going to materialize to be 40 wins, or even, it might not materialize to be 35, I think they executed that a little bit. Like, I said this before. Last year, they had Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on the team. They were almost unwatchable. No, not almost. They were unwatchable as a team. There's some more intriguing stuff in Phoenix now. I can't wait to watch. And maybe that dies out by February. Maybe that dies out by December. I don't know. But there's some intriguing stuff. I hate the fact that every time they be like, oh, yeah, Devin Booker's going to be our point guard. Oh, Jalen Green's going to be our point guard. Oh, Bradley Beal's going to be our point guard. I feel like I've read an article about all of these guys potentially being their point guard at one time in the last 2 years. I would love for them to go get a point guard, but they don't have that. And Art Williams, he can hoop if his body let him. Portland, they gave it a B. Hey, guess what? Damian Lillard is home, and that is enough for me to give him an A. No. The Portland Trailblazers, they have an intriguing team. I even made the tweet, like, what does their starting lineup look like? Because we were having a conversation about, like, Scoot Henderson versus Shaden Sharp or so on and so forth, or do they both, or one of them starts, do neither of them starts, whatever. They pulled out one of the biggest woes of the trade of the draft when they brought in Yang Hansen. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But other than that, it's like the Drew Holiday acquisition, which did cost them anything after those second round picks got voided. So it's fine. I'm excited about them though, mostly because that defense that they had last season, at the end of last season, I feel like part of that is real. And now you just added Drew Holiday. It's like, I don't know who the hell is gonna put the ball in the basket for them, but boy, it's gonna be hard to defend against them. So, or to score against them. Cool. The Kings, I don't like anything the Kings did. It's just a lot of money. It's just a lot of money for Dennis Schroeder. And yes, he played so well. They got as a D-. He played so well for Detroit after he got there. But there's a reason he's been on 13 different teams, man. I don't know. The Kings are just... Next, we got the San Antonio Spurs, who they gave a B. I really, really do like the center acquisitions that they got. They got two guys in Luke Kornet and Kelly Olynyk who can play alone or play alongside Victor Wembanyama. And I just can't wait to see some of the lineups that they end up putting out there. What will happen with Dylan Harper? We don't really know right now. How much room will he get to grow as a rookie? We don't know. But again, just great in the offseason. I'm not mad at the grade they gave them, which is a B. Because, yeah, the center acquisition was cool because, like, when Wemby went off the court, obviously when you have a guy as good as Wemby, the on-off numbers are always going to be skewed because he's that damn talented. But it's just so many other players. And shout out to Mamu because he had the one game with Flavor Flav in attendance. But Luke Kornet is a real good basketball player. At least he was the last 2 years. Hell, who the hell knows? You leave Boston, maybe some stuff happens. But and Kelly Olynyk, he could be all right sometime. The Toronto Raptors didn't do a lot. They just got Jakob Poeltl on an extension. Kyler Murray-Boyles was one of my more interesting players in this draft. Nobody has a question about the defense. I think that's going to be real at an NBA level from day one. The question is, will he ever be able to be a plus offensively without him having to, I don't know, have the ball in his hands to make those plays? Could he hit some shots, the three-pointers? I don't know. They gave it a D because I think Brandon Ingram extension, that didn't happen this offseason, right? That happened during the regular season, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not going to count that in your grade. They really just brought back Jakob Poeltl. Utah Jazz, 5th overall pick. They waited too long. They gave it a C. They waited too long on all of it. Every single guy that they got rid of this offseason, I felt like had some level of value over the last couple years. Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, John Collins. Well, maybe not John Collins. I feel like he's been on the block forever. But those other guys I feel like had some value across the league at one point. And most of the guys either bought out or traded for nothing. So I can't love that part. I do like that they are up completely saying, okay, we're going to win 20 games next season, and we're going to do it with our young guys. So Ace Bailey, Bryce Sensabaugh, Isaiah Collier, Walter Clayton, all of y'all just got to go out there and hoop, and whatever happens, happens. I think that's interesting. And yeah, we move on to the Washington Wizards, who are another one of those teams that did a lot of moves around the edges. Love it. Sorry, y'all at the end of the video. I don't know. I feel like every day I get tweeted a clip that I've said about the goddamn Wizards. I don't know what else I can really say. All right, I'm out of here.